Shirazhou, Hunan province. So it accounts for 1/4 of China's silver production. It's known as the silver capital of China. They're basically all out of stock. India, as you mentioned, their largest precious metals refinery has ran out of silver stock for the first time in history. Again, this is massive demand for physical. You have at the same time London, with the lowest amount of silver, the float that they've had in the history of the exchange, of 140-year-old exchange. They have less than 140 million ounces, yet they're trading 600 million ounces a day off that stash. What could possibly go wrong? There's between 1 and 2 billion ounces of contracts that could stand for delivery with only 140 million ounces available. At the same time right now, you have the U.S. government who just reclassified silver a critical mineral. At the same time, you have 19% lease rates in London, the highest it's ever been to my knowledge. So people who need to borrow silver to get whole, to cover a short position, they're paying 19% lease rates. And then there was SLV. What did I see on SLV? Backwardation. We're at $1.24 backwardation. It's been that way now for 19 straight days, meaning that the futures market right now is $1.24 behind the spot price, meaning that the traders don't want to roll forward their paper contracts. They don't trust the system right now. Give me the metal now. I don't care. When you go further out, you have the time value of money, the storage, the interest, everything, and it's supposed to be much higher. It's much lower. It's very rare in silver. It's very rare, and it signals that the traders want the metal now, and they're willing to pay more for it today than out into the future, which is crazy. That's a very unusual, very, very bullish thing. I don't remember exactly what I read on SLV other than to say that there's virtually no shares available to borrow, and the borrowing cost of those shares has gone through the roof. So SLV is something that can be shorted, which is stupid as hell. And of course, it's run by BlackRock and JP Morgan, who paid a $920 million fine to the Justice Department for spoofing the market, is still allowed to be the custodian of this largest silver trust. But the borrowing fee to borrow it, and there's a huge short position, is through the roof. You're screwed if you have to borrow it to cover. And there's virtually no shares available. So you put it all together, you got massive drawdowns in London. You have massive deliveries into New York. You have places like the London Metals Exchange with their lowest float ever. Silver becoming impossible to find in China and in India. You have China flying around the world as the second largest producer in the world of silver, buying up all the doré bars from the miners directly. Those are crudely refined bars that before they get sent to the refineries, and the concentrate, which is a sludge byproduct, shipping it back to China and refining it themselves. You have backwardation, which is something that is very unusual and has been through for 3 straight weeks now. You have lease rates going to the moon. You have SLV borrow rates going to the moon, and no shares available. I don't know, man. People say he's talking his book. I'm telling you, when the U.S. government reclassified silver as a critical mineral, they just put a floor under it and told you it's important. And all the central banks that are now buying it, Saudi Arabia just bought a huge stash. India has bought 600 or 700 or 800 million ounces over the last half decade. No one knows the exact amount, but massive amounts. They can't even find it. You have Russia adding it to their strategic stockpile. You have it disappearing. Ask your buddy Keith Neumeyer, who I know is a friend of the show. He'll tell you. He's told me personally a million times, and I hear him saying it publicly from time to time. The real mining ratio is 7-to-1 right now, not the 80-to-1 price ratio crap that we're looking at. And it was 16-to-1 for 5,000 years. In every single metric, silver is the buying opportunity of a generation, period. And I don't care what anyone says. I'm not talking my book. When you manipulate a market for as long as the West has based upon illusionary paper product, that works until people say, hey, you know what? Give me the real shit, period. I want it now. And I don't want your paper promises anymore. When that happens, not only does it blow up the silver and gold market, Daryl, but the banks that are behind this are the biggest commercial banks in the world. It has the power to disrupt the entire financial system, because if they don't trust them on a default or failure to deliver in metal, what does it mean about all the other derivatives and all of the other things they have their fingers in? These banks don't just play in metals and that's it. They play in everything financial. So when you're talking some of the biggest banks in the world, it is a existential threat to some of them. And maybe that's why we're seeing all the metal coming back to the United States. Could it be that the banks here in the United States are going to get net long and let the banks in Europe hold the bag? I mean, that's what Tom Luongo talks about. And then maybe they get long, give the metal to the Exchange Stabilization Fund, to the US government who buys it from them to restock our stockpiles, which we don't have any silver, but now it's a critical mineral, so we better have some. Could it be that's what it's about? Could it be all that gold coming back, that Judy's right, they're gonna back the treasury market? I mean, I don't know, but you put all these dots together and they sure become a compelling thought experiment. And this is what I mean. Am I stupid to say this, or is it just, it's too logical for it to not to have some form of validity? In my heart, I believe it does. It's an asset that is disappearing in nature. It's like your skin epidermis. It's found in nature in a form called epithermal, real near the surface. Big deposits were found ages ago. We've been running a 1 to 200 million ounce shortfall for the last 5 years in a row. We're about 1 billion ounces short between supply and demand. And you said something at the beginning there, the industrial, the monetary. Think about it. What commodities have plurality in use? Monetary, industrial, military, all of the things that silver is needed for. AI for the batteries, AI for the computers, the batteries for cars, for whatever, solar panels and photovoltaic, and all of these things. There's massive amounts of silver used in all the high-tech military equipment, and its monetary rebirth, renaissance that we've seen. It's rare, it's depleting, and its uses are increasing. So I don't think you get rid of all of it, but one thing that you could do when you look at silver, and you mentioned keeping your gold, the ratio that we see right now, let's see, what is the ratio as we speak? It's roughly about 82.5 to 1. It's averaged 16 to 1 for 5,000 years. It's 7 to 1 right now in reality. And for about 150 years since the Industrial Revolution, because silver's role as money and gold's role as money and silver's role in industrial uses. And then since the banks in the West, the 8 Western banks who for years have had the largest concentrated short position of any commodity ever traded on COMEX and silver. Now, why the hell would 8 banks hold the price of silver down like this? Because silver is far more important than we are all led to believe. It is critical that the US government just admitted it, right? And so they haven't been holding it down to keep the price down. They've been holding it down to keep the price down so analysts and other countries and everyone else wouldn't notice it as being as critical as it is to make high-tech weapons, to build a digital world. And they've got caught. They've got caught by the nations of the BRICS who understand exactly what we're doing, and they are now coordinated, motivated, sophisticated, and wealthy as hell, and they're draining all the world's exchanges and going around the world and buying doré and concentrate before it's even called silver. Silver is more important than we are led to believe. So I wouldn't sell all my silver, and I don't look at it as a speculation. It's wealth. It is a speculative. It's speculative in comparison to gold, but it is wealth that has outlived everything from 2 world wars, a German hyperinflation, to the Great Depression, to every pandemic, and it has never been more important than it is right now. So I would keep some for your kids, keep some because God only knows where it goes. And if I'm going to do anything with it, the first thing I would think of doing is that if we realize that the average man's price, even the man's price for the last 150 years has averaged about 45 to 1, right? Even though it was 16 to 1 for all of those years, but now it's 7 to 1 because the low-lying fruit, remember, it's found in the surface, it's gone. Of 100 and, or what was it, of 800 million ounces that were mined last year, under 200 million came from mining companies, silver mining companies. The rest of it was found by other companies mining other products, gold, copper, tin, whatever. Oh, here's some silver. It's disappearing. The price potential, we don't know what the real price potential is because of the massive naked shorting, which is now breaking with only 140 million ounces in London. It's breaking. And so if you did anything, in 2010 was the first podcast I did with Bix Weir. And we talked about, I said, Bix, it's 85 to 1. It's the second time in human history it's been this high, ever. And at least to my knowledge. And I said, let's tell everyone to sell their gold. We'll sell it to the market. We'll switch it to silver. And they did. Almost everyone I talked to did. It was one of the best calls I've ever made publicly. And within 7 months, mid 2011, you had $50 silver and 1915 gold. That's 37 to 1. That's just below its 200-year average, 150-year average, man's average, about 45 to 1. So anyone that 7 months earlier in 2010 would have traded 1 ounce of gold in theory for 85 ounces of silver. Forget, it didn't matter what coin and what type, but roughly 85 to 1 would have only needed 37 ounces of silver to go back into gold 7 months later, doubling plus what you started with. So if I were going to do anything with my silver other than hold it for my kids, which who knows how important it is when your kids are your age, I would think of trading it to gold, which I believe if a genie came out of the bottle and said, you got one wish, financial asset, what is it? It would be gold. Gold's going to go higher than anyone ever thinks possible. And Jim Sinclair, God rest his soul, always said this. It'll go to a level no one can imagine, and it will never come back down because it will be pegged to the monetary system. Judy Shelton is telling you that. And the BRICS are telling you that. They're going to use gold to back their settlement system. It's not going to be a common currency, at least not for the foreseeable future, but it will back their settlement system. And the expansion of the Shanghai Metals Exchange and the convertibility of the digital yuan into gold right now, without going into dollars, is telling you this. All right, so if I get 2 wishes, I'm loading up on silver right now at 82 to 1. And if all that happens is it gets to its 200-year price average of 42 to 1, it's a double. Now you switch it into gold. That's 6 times higher than it's coming out of the ground at, by the way, at 42 to 1. If it got anywhere near its geological average, it's roughly 10, almost 11 times undervalued geologically. Does that mean something? I think at some point it has to mean something. I mean, if gold is coming out of the ground right now at a 7 to 1, or silver is at a 7 to 1 clip to gold, but it's priced at 82 to 1. Doesn't it have to at least get somewhere closer to that number, to that geologic real number? Yeah, I think what it is, it's the opportunity of a generation, Daryl, because when someone says to you, I can show you how you can double your money, usually you should run, because it's BS. It's the risk outweighs the reward. But if I say to you, buy silver, what you want to buy anyway, and instead of buying gold, or take an ounce of gold and trade it to silver, and if all that happens is you reach the average of the last 100 plus years, you switch it, you double. Just the average.